Welcome to Football Scientific. I'm Aaron Sauter, writer for Last Word on Sports. I cover the Buffalo Bills and the NFL. Also write for CFLNewsHub.com. I cover the Hamilton Tiger-Cats at the CFL. And I write for UFLNewsHub.com. I cover the Orlando Storm of the newly rebranded UFL. Today on Football Scientific, it's Monday Night Football. We want to get back to watching the games, but we're going to quickly go through our breakdown of Week 20 in the CFL. Talk about some recent transactions and then represent our power rankings in the second to last week of the season before we hit the playoffs in the CFL. I am joined tonight by my guest host, Tyler the Tiger. Tyler the Tiger here, ready to go? Ready to knock this out of the park. We're having a great time, and we're going to break down the CFL games and some signings and the power rankings, and it should be great. Here we go. Let's break it down. All right, good call, Tyler. So here we go. First, there were 4 games this weekend in Week 20 of the CFL. We had the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Friday night traveled to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Saskatchewan rested a bunch of players. Winnipeg really needed to win this game. Ended up being a very ugly game. Way more exciting than I thought it would be, honestly. Saskatchewan came out with Jake Merritt, quarterback. He threw for 161 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They really ran the ball for 29 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, and a fumble. And quarterback Jack Cohn, who played for the San Antonio Brahmas a couple of years ago in the XFL, he had a majority of those 29 yards for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they were wrestling AJ Ouellette. Okay, Saskatchewan also had 2 sacks. Winnipeg came out, Zach Collaros came out. 182 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, still throwing interceptions, still turning the ball over. They did run for 107 rushing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Brady Oliveira had 75 rushing yards. They had 1 sack. And a crazy game, hard-fought game. Winnipeg kicked the game-winning field goal with 0 seconds on the clock to win 17-16 at home. So this did a few things. First, Saskatchewan already is in the top spot in the West. Boom. Winnipeg put themselves in position to be qualified for the playoffs if Edmonton lost later that night. Okay, so Winnipeg made themselves in a pretty good spot. They were hoping for a Winnipeg loss. They won 17-16. So what happened in that Edmonton game? Okay, well, that's going to determine if Winnipeg made the playoffs or not. So Edmonton Elks, they traveled to the BC Lions. Edmonton 7-10, BC 10-7, trying to seal up second place in the West Division. Edmonton, Cody Fajardo came out and threw for 230 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Ouch, that's a disastrous game when you're trying to win a playoff spot. The Elks had 92 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble. Cody Fajardo had 1 of those touchdowns, and Javon Leake had the other. Justin Rankin did not. Okay, BC Lions. Nathan Rourke led the BC Lions offense. Nathan Rourke threw for 338 passing yards, had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, which pales in comparison to 3 interceptions. They also won on the ground. They ran the ball for 169 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble. The fumble hurts a little bit. Nathan Rourke had 82 of his rushing yards, and James Butler had 82 of his rushing yards as well. So they split it. They both had a touchdown. And the BC Lions had 3 sacks, and that was enough for BC to put away Edmonton. BC wins at home 37-24 on Friday night. That eliminated the Edmonton Elks from the playoffs, and it sealed up Winnipeg as a playoff team. Boom. The next day, Montreal played Ottawa. Montreal's in position. They've been behind the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. They beat Ottawa. They pulled into a tie for first place in the East. Of course, Hamilton does hold a tiebreaker. So what happened here? Well, Montreal traveled to Ottawa. Remember that last week they played, not yesterday, but last week they played, and Montreal won 30-10. So what happened here? Well, Montreal came out. They did not protect Davis Alexander very well. You think, as important as that guy is, they're undefeated with Davis Alexander, and they're 0-7 without Davis Alexander. You would think they protect him, but he took some brutal hits in the game, but he still threw for 335 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. If you were soft on brutal hits, you'd think, wow, that's pretty cool that he survived that game. They also ran for 83 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Stevie Scott III had a touchdown, and Shea Patterson had a touchdown. They had 3 quarterback sacks, so they did pressure Ottawa Red Blacks quarterback as well, Tyree Adams. Tyree Adams for Winnipeg, for Ottawa, came out and threw for 286 passing yards, had 3 interceptions. Ouch. They ran for 61 rushing yards and a fumble. They had 3 sacks, but they've stayed in this game. They scored touchdowns. They stayed in the game. Ultimately, Montreal won 39-28, tying themselves up in the standings with the Hamilton Ticats, although Hamilton holds the tiebreaker. If Hamilton beats Ottawa next week, they win the West. If Montreal loses to Winnipeg next week, Hamilton wins the East. I said that with the West, but it wins the East. Okay? So Hamilton has 2 ways to win the East. They could beat Ottawa, which they should do, or they could lose to Ottawa and have Winnipeg beat Montreal, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not. That'd take a lot of variables, man. Or if they lose and Montreal wins, then suddenly Montreal is the top team in the East again, and Hamilton's playing Winnipeg in a crossover game, which may not be what we want to do. So that's crazy, man. It's getting crazy in the East. Okay, last game of the weekend, Toronto Argonauts, Calgary Stampeders played Saturday night. Toronto's out of the playoff run. Calgary Stampeders, they clinched a playoff spot when Edmonton lost. So now they're trying not to beat a crossover team. No crossover team's ever won the Grey Cup. So they're all fighting to not beat a crossover team. Toronto Argonauts threw for Max Duggan. Played for them. Jarrett Doege played a little bit, but Max Duggan played most of the game. He threw for 246 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Ouch. Very St. Louis Battlehawk-like. They had 68 rushing yards. Max Duggan had 45 of those rushing yards. They have not been running the ball all season. They had no fumbles, though. They did have 2 quarterback sacks. Calgary Stampeders came out. Vernon Adams Jr. threw for 280 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's a great game by Vernon Adams Jr. That's a great game. Usually he makes a few mistakes. That's a great game. They also ran for 145 rushing yards and a touchdown. Jedrick Mills carried the ball for those rushing yards. And they had 4 sacks. So 4 sacks. They won the running game. They won the passing game. They won the turnover battle. Calgary wins 44-13. Toronto already knew they were done. This is their last game of the year. Now they're done. Calgary Stampeders still in the playoffs. Let's see what they do. All right. So then that rearranges our Week 20 CFL Power Rankings. So here they are. First, Saskatchewan Roughriders are still my number 1 team. They're 12-5, best record in the league. I'm going to believe they're the best team in the West until someone knocks them off, honestly. They've secured their playoff bid. They're the top team in the West. So if someone beats them, that's cool. But I don't think anyone will until the Grey Cup, and Hamilton will beat them. Boom. Number 2, BC Lions are 10-7. They made the playoffs. Number 3, Calgary Stampeders are 10-7. They made the playoffs. They probably have the best chance to go into the Grey Cup behind Saskatchewan, because Saskatchewan has not beaten Calgary. If Calgary beats BC, Calgary's probably going to the Grey Cup game, honestly. If they can't beat BC, all bets are off. I don't know who's going to win. Number 4, Montreal Alouettes. I just feel like they're playing better football than Hamilton right now. We have to beat Ottawa next week. They beat Ottawa twice, back-to-back. We're 10-7. They made the playoffs. Number 5, Hamilton Ticats, 10-7. We had a week off. We got to come back and beat Ottawa. We should not have gotten beat by Calgary, but we did. 10-7. Number 6, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 9-8. They made the playoffs officially. They'll be the crossover team. Either coming to Hamilton or either coming to Montreal. Hopefully they go to Montreal. I don't think they'll make it through Montreal. I think Montreal come to Hamilton, we'll beat them, and we'll play Saskatchewan and win the Grey Cup. Boom. Number 7, Edmonton Elks are eliminated from the playoffs for 7-10. Number 8, Toronto Argonauts eliminated from the playoffs for 5-13. Number 9, Ottawa Red Blacks are 4-13, eliminated from the playoffs. So we'll probably do power rankings one more time next week. After that, they won't really be meaningful anymore. It'll be playoff time. Since those games, there has been some moves made in the league. First, Calgary Stampeders added from the practice roster national defensive lineman Kyle Sampson, and they moved to the single injury list National defensive lineman Justin Samba. Toronto Argonauts signed national wide receiver Ezekiel Tieti. They also moved 3 players to the practice roster: American wide receiver Dorian Anderson, American defensive lineman Brevin Allen, global kicker Alfredo Gachuz Lozado. They also released and then re-signed American offensive lineman Joshua Donovan. They signed him to a futures contract, future active contract, so I guess he'll be joining the team next year, really. So they signed him so they could have him for next year. That's pretty good. All right, so that's the CFL Week 20. We have one more week, regular season week of the CFL games, and then it's playoff time, so that's pretty cool. And we'll be down to just college football and NFL. All right, so that was this episode of Football Scientific. It was our CFL review show. We talked about the games, we talked about some signings, we give our CFL Power Rankings from Week 20. Hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you check out Last Word on Sports, my Buffalo website, my Buffalo articles. Check out CFLNewsHub.com. Check out Hamilton Tigercats articles. Check out UFLNewsHub.com. Check out my Orlando Storm. I got one article for Orlando Storm right now. And then like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get this thing going. Boop, boop. Go Lions and go Seahawks. Okay. That's Monday Night Football tonight. Football Scientific, the portal is now closed. Bye-bye.